This is a Crosley 5V1 5-tube, 2-band, superheterodyne tombstone tube radio. It is in terrible condition. The cabinet has severe moisture damage. It has missing trim pieces and veneer. It's basically in horrible shape. The chassis appears rusty and extremely dirty, full of spider webs and mud. But on the plus side, most of it's there, I think. We will transform this eyesore of a radio into working condition, restore the cabinet, and clean the crap out of this radio. Should be a heck of a project. So if this interests you, stay tuned. Alrighty, this should prove to be quite the project. I would say definitely the biggest project from a condition of extreme disaster I've ever attempted. Usually I just repair them. Mostly now I'm starting to do the cabinets. I never really detail the metal chassis, but I'm going to try to do this one A to Z just because it's going to be quite the challenge. But before we get into it, just a little bit about this radio in Crosley. In 1934, when the 5V1 was produced, the Crosley Radio Corporation was at its absolute peak as a diversified industrial giant based in Cincinnati, Ohio. The radio was likely manufactured at the massive Arlington Street plant in the Camp Washington neighborhood of Cincinnati. This 9-story factory was one of the largest radio manufacturing facilities in the world, employing over 3,000 people and capable of producing 2,000 radios per day. In May of 1934, Crosley flipped the switch on a new 500,000-watt transmitter for WLW in nearby Mason, Ohio, making it the world's most powerful radio station. It was 10 times more powerful than any other station in the U.S. And also, in 1934, in February, Crosley bought the Cincinnati Reds to keep the team from moving and renamed their stadium to Crosley Field, where they used it as a testing ground for their other innovations such as scheduled play-by-play broadcasts. So this Crosley 5V1 was manufactured in 1934 and was part of the Crosley's popular Fiver series of 5-tube receivers, and is a classic example of the Depression-era radio design, which was originally sold as a budget-friendly option for American households back in the day. So, let me get the camera adjusted and we'll get into this radio. Okay, let's do a little inspection here. So it's only has 2 of the 3 knobs, and they're just hanging on for dear life. I don't know if maybe one of these is original. I don't know. I could not find a single color or black and white photo of this particular cabinet. So that's going to make the repair potentially a little more troublesome, but there is thankfully one picture on the radio museum, and it's a black and white print of what it should look like, because there's a top piece missing here, and this deal here is missing on this side, so that's going to be a challenge to recreate. And there is a piece of trim missing, but it was pictured in the ad where I bought it, so the seller's going to ship it to me, a nice feller. So yeah, I don't know, that'll be something, making one of these deals. May invest in one of those CNC deals. So yeah, man, this thing is just, when I said, yeah, there's mud, pieces of mud. I don't know if those are dirt daubers or what those are, but it is dirty.
That's very dirty. That's absolutely filthy.
And so this is the speaker. I wonder if that is a disconnect there. That would be handy. The chassis screws are missing, but actually that's a pretty long speaker cord, but if that unplugs, that will be handy. Let me pause for a second, examine that. So I had said I thought those were dirt daubers up there, or in here, because it was full of mud. I don't know. That may be a video first. See a lot of dirt daubers in the car repair videos, but I don't know if I've ever seen one in a radio.
Someone asked what a dirt dauber is. A dirt dauber is a wasp, basically, and of some sort, and it builds these little things, and I don't know if they just go in there and die. I don't know if they put their babies in there, and that's where they store dead bugs, as you see right there, for their babies to eat.
So I don't know about this plug deal here. I may focus this. So this thing, it unbolts and hooks down, but oh man, I don't know if that's a plug or not. I guess I could take those bolts off and see, but I don't know. Let's examine it. All right, they loosen the nuts on there, and so that, we'll just cover for the solder connections. Marvelous. All right, I'm going to take the unscrew the speaker off camera, and we'll be right back. All right, I got it out, but man, it was not easy. It's got those damn plastic insert locking nuts. It's I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but there's a little plastic insert in them, and two of the three weren't bad. One was kind of rough, and the other one I just couldn't get it. So I got the brilliant idea of taking my soldering iron, and I just laid it on the nut to heat it up, and I could see the plastic bubbling, and then it came right out. So
Brilliant! Brilliant!
let me get, and the speaker, amazingly, look at that. Unbelievably good shape. Let me secure that, and we'll get this thing out of the cabinet. All right. Usually taking the radio out of the cabinet's not that climactic, but this, holy Toledo. Oh. Oh, there must be a chassis screw in it. Hang on a sec. Alright, let's try that again. There was one lousy chassis screw in it. Good grief. Oh. Oh. Alright, let me get the cabinet out of the way. Alright. Ooh-wee. Huh. Let me get this up here so we can actually let me get the camera a little better position. Alright, I wiped a little dust off the bench here and so the dial face is not corroded away into oblivion. I have a broken cap on our tube, missing a shield, it looks like. Well, this is a pretty small radio. Yeah, the tuning cap turns, but I want to clean it before I use the banana slicer. Huh. Well, let's see what the underside looks like. Let's see. Boy. Well, that's that's a lot of components packed in a small space. Holy cow. And even the dirt daubers got in the damn underside. Wow. Huh. So, woo. This is rusty. Oh, the volume pot moves. That's band selector switch. So, yeah, I need to take this outside and blow the dirt out of it. It's nighttime and it's snowing. It's the middle of frickin' March. So, well, yeah, that's something. All right, I need to clean it up a bit and we'll do a little closer inspection. All right, it's the next day and I'm going to take this outside and clean it, but I wanted to get a little closer view of this because it is just so dirty. I don't think my last camera angle really got the gist of how just absolutely disgustingly dirty this thing is. Ooh-wee. That is something. That is a lot of years in the barn there. Whew. So, take it outside and get most of this heavy buildup off. Alrighty. It cleaned up rather nicely. A lot of that dust and dirt blew out of there. So, yeah. That's a lot better, huh? Some rusty trimmer screws on the tuning capacitor, but so I think the plan will be to get it working, because we don't want to waste all the time cleaning it up if it doesn't work. We'll just tack in components and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, just an update here. Been doing a little cleaning and inspecting. That tube, the 6A7 that had the cap off of it, I glued it back on, and I'm just gonna, the wire was still there, I'm just gonna solder that on. I actually tested the tube, and it tests emission wise in the questionable, but it should be good enough for testing purposes. And the other interesting thing, it's supposed to be a 80 tube here. You can see that's a replacement tube socket, and they put a 5Y3 in there. I know that that can be done, so we'll have to investigate and see if it was done correctly. So I got the tubes cleaned up, and I guess I'll flip it over and start having a look-see at the underside. I usually like to map out where everything is. If you watch my other videos, you know, I map everything out. But if you've ever heard the expression 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, this is this radio, man. This is just crammed in there, and it's virtually impossible to map this out with the components that are in there. So I think what I'm going to do is start just tacking in temporary replacements. When I say temporary, if this thing is a dud, we'll just retrieve what we tacked soldered in there. So, because there's really no other way to map it out and test it. Well, I mean, you can, but drawing it out, you know, they changed that 80 tube to a 5Y3. We just need to make sure everything is right, and it's just too crammed together. So I guess that's what I'll do. And it's going to be kind of tough to read these capacitor values because they're so filthy, but we'll see what happens. Wish me luck. Alrighty. Holy cow, I'm telling you what, this is something else. I got more jumper wires and temporary soldered stuff in here. I don't know where to start. I have the selectors, the band selector switch. I got jumpers on that. Got a wire going to the antenna. Whole bunch of stuff temporarily soldered in there. Our candome resistor as a 8.5K and 25K. The 8.5K was completely open. The 25K measures like 600K. So I have a temporary deal here. So what else? I mean, a bunch of the resistors are out of spec. I think I might have changed one. I don't remember. It's got at least one of these flexible resistors here that actually measured good, or reasonably good. Those are usually open or way out of spec, but it's in there for testing purposes. So the tuning cap was pretty much frozen. I just used some penetrating oil in the bearings And it seems to be working now. I put a dial lamp bulb in. The field coil and the audio output transformer tested good. All the tubes tested bad, except for the 6B7. And I just got one of those in the mail today. I didn't have one of those, so that's in. The IFs all tested good. The repair work that was done on this, the soldering job was just absolutely terrible. It'd be a miracle if this thing holds together during the testing. And they put a new volume pot in, and it's supposed to have a 500K. They put in a 2 meg, and it has one of those loudness taps on it, and they added a capacitor on that. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. Maybe because the 2K or the 2 meg pot was too high of a resistance. They tried to bring up the volume. I don't know. But it's a moment of truth. I don't recommend doing this. This isn't the very safe way to do it. So we'll monitor our B plus. Should be around 240 volts. Got one bulb on. I do have the power switch on the volume pot actually tested good. So let's give it some voltage. I got one bulb on, and let's see what happens here. I'm not feeling very confident, shall we say. It's just such a filthy mess in there. But anyway, we're at 40 volt. Oop, damn it. I always forget something. Give it some. Now we'll give it some juice. Good grief. 20 volts. 30 volts. AC on the Variac. 40 volts. All right. We are getting voltage here. 40 volts, 50 volts, 60 volts. Oh, there's a bulb finally. We're starting to build our DC voltage. I think we're good with the shorts. So I'll just keep bringing the volume up. We don't have to worry about any electrolytics or paper caps. That's 90 volts. AC, voltage coming down. Tubes conducting. That's 100 volts AC. That's no static whatsoever. Let's give it a bulb. Give it a little more voltage. It's 110 AC. About 115. Oh. Hopefully the mic's picking that up. There's hum. But no voice. No transmission. Let's give it another bulb here. Hopefully the mic's picking that up. So our DC voltage seems kind of low. Well, I guess we're current limited to under 100 volts here. Let's give it one more bulb. I'm pretty sure there's something else going on. So, nothing coming through. That's interesting. There must be a bad solder joint or something not wired correctly. I don't know. I tried to map it out. I started, but I don't have it completely done. I'm going to have to do some investigating and we'll see what we find. Alright, I think I figured it out. I had the connections on the band selector switch backwards. The switch is actually broken. It's not making the proper contact, so I had to desolder some wires and jumper things together, so hopefully this time we will have success. So keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed. So I got the variac at about 95 volts. That's probably too low. Let's bring that up. Got 3 bulbs on. All right. All right. Still no bueno. I think. Yeah. Crap. All right. Let me look around some more. Alright, so good news. I got my signal tracer out. I was going to start signal tracing. So the IF is 181.5 kilohertz, and I fed that in, and it does go through. So then I just picked a frequency at random, 800 kilohertz, and hopefully the mic's picking that up. We got a good tone coming through at about minus 23 dBm. And you tune off it, it goes away. And it comes back. So the radio works. It's just the antenna adjustment must be out of whack or something, because it's not picking up anything with the just have about a 10-foot piece of wire hooked up to the antenna terminal, and that usually works good for an antenna. So I might screw around a little bit with see if I can find the antenna trimmer and see if we can pull some stations in. So these trimmer caps on the tuning capacitor, this one at the top was really rusty, and I managed to get this one off without breaking it, if I can show. It's quite rusty, so I don't think it was making good contact. So there's a mica wafer in between here, and then I guess it goes to ground. And if that trimmer was open, this bottom one's the oscillator. I need to clean this one too. And we'll see if that brings our antenna in. All right, good news. Cleaning that screw, and man, it took a lot of cleaning. I had to take my little file set and if I can get it here. File the back of that screw to get down to metal. There was like, I don't know, 32nd of an inch of just pure rust. And I had to file it to get down to bare metal. That screw's in pretty bad shape. It's an odd screw. It's a 640 thread, and I've been looking all over to try and find one to replace it, but not having very good luck. But I guess that the one works anyway. But that's my my local station. The tuning capacitors kind of froze up again a little bit. I need to lubricate it. The bearings in there, the grease is all hardened up, so I've been softening it with some oil. But anyway, that's great. The radio actually freaking works. And I don't know if I'm happy, but man, the amount of work it's going to take to get this thing cleaned up, part of me almost was hoping it was a dud. I hate to say it, but man, I got all these jumper wires and temporarily soldered components, but I just cleaned the one screw. The other one was a little bit rusty. I haven't taken it apart yet, but that I guess is making a little bit of contact. But that shows you how important those trimmers are. If it's not antenna's not in trim, it's not going to pick anything up, and that makes sense why we were able to put just direct connecting a signal through, and it worked. But yeah, well, I guess it's on to the next thing. Okay, I figure now is as good a time as any to go over the schematic, and this is our schematic. I went through and did some editing on it. I put this 5Y3 rectifier tube in there for reference and replacement of our 80 tube, and our capacitor wiring is a little bit hard to understand, difficult to figure out on the original schematic, so I made that a little more easy to visualize. And then on my 5V1, it has this 2K resistor that isn't on the 5V1 schematic, but the 5V2 has that on there. So I don't know if this is a late 5V1 that they decided to put that in there. I don't know. And the other thing with our candome resistor here, the 8.5K, that's a very uncommon value, and a replacement for one of those and high wattage is prohibitively expensive. So we're just going to use 10K here. Another interesting thing is that the trimmer capacitors on the tuning capacitor, they're not on the schematic, and these number 5 deals, that's our tuning cap, and the trimmers would be in parallel with those. And I don't know why they're not on the schematic, but they should be. Anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to show on here. I haven't verified that everything on this schematic is correct, but I suppose I'll get into that when we start putting the replacement components in. So we will get back to the chassis and have a few more thoughts about what's going on there. And we're back to the radio. So we had a successful power up, and it does work, which is something you really should do before you spend a lot of time and money in fixing up your radio. So that's a good thing, and we did our cleaning of this screw on our trimmer that enabled us to pull the stations in through the antenna. So that's a good fix to keep in your hip pocket. So one thing that kind of sucks is this. This is one of the IF trimmers. I think it's the first one. And that nut is really, really rusted. I've been putting some Croyle on there to try and loosen it up, but I got a feeling that's not going to ever loosen up enough that we can adjust it. So the reception and the IF seem pretty good. So after we get it all done, if everything seems good, we'll just leave it. If not, and this breaks, we can probably just put a new screw and fine thread nut on there to do our adjustments. So we'll see how that goes. And we have the switch needs to be fixed, if it even can be fixed. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It just spins. So hopefully that's fixable. And I did interestingly test a bunch of the paper caps, and they all tested good. They weren't puking wax out of the wax ones, and even the electrolytics tested reasonably well. So that was kind of interesting. In theory, we could have powered this up, leaving all the paper caps in. So as bad a condition as this is in, I mean, I think the rust on here and like that screw, a mouse must have pissed on there because it's just localized corrosion like that. You know, it's not generalized, so I don't know. But I think the next thing we're going to do is start cleaning the chassis. And that's going to be a few hours work, so we'll get on to that and see how it goes. I just want to show a good close-up of just how dirty this is. Even with blowing most of the crud out of there, there's a lot of dirt that needs to be cleaned out of here. I mean, yikes. That's going to be a lot of hours of scrubbing. So what I'll probably do is just take a brush and go in and try and get all the loose stuff out of here, and then switch to these Scotch pads and just scour the ever-living crap out of it. I mean, I'm not going for museum quality or anything, but get the metal reasonably clean and shiny, get all the dirt out of there. And there's some rust here, likely from the mouse piss. So we might put a little navel jelly on there. So I'll get to cleaning, and we'll give a progress update after we get some of that crud out of there. All right. So I decided to start on a little spot to see how well this goes. And so from here down, untreated, from here to here, I just used a wire brush and just brushed it. And from here up, I put navel jelly on, and it's been sitting there for about, good 45 minutes. And some of the heavier stuff, I notice if I take a screwdriver with the jelly still on there, this hard or heavily rusted area, you can scrape the scale out, and hopefully the jelly will get in there and clean it up so it looks more like this. So I'm going to go in and scrape all this black, and we'll see how it looks. It's looking better. I scraped what loose stuff I could and just wiped it off with a paper towel. So I'm going to put another coating of navel jelly on there, and hopefully it will loosen this scale, for lack of a better word. And this side is the worst as far as the rust. I think that mice parked their butt here and pissed down the side. So if we can get this side looking good, we'll be in good shape. We'll see how it goes. This is after a second application of navel jelly. It sat for 20 minutes and scraping. It's getting better. I switched to a flat razor blade, and wherever the navel jelly soaks in, it seems to come off pretty good. Right around the edges, it's where it's the thickest. You can see where it's kind of dry there, where the navel jelly hasn't soaked in. So we'll do a third application and we'll see what we got. And this is after 4 treatments. So not too bad. I still have to, this edge, I think has got a little bit of rust yet, but after we hit it with the green Scotch pad, I think it'll look pretty good. Now I just have to do the whole freaking radio. Joy. Alright, I've been cleaning the chassis. It's been going pretty good. For the light rust, I found that the Scotch pad with some navel jelly, wearing a glove, it cleans it pretty good. So hopefully the radio will clean up quite well, but I got kind of bored with that, so I decided to take this selector switch off, and it is in need of repair. There's a tab, one of the contacts inside of here is broken off and one is bent, so I need to get this little C-ring off, and I'll get a close-up of that here real quick. So this C-ring holds the shaft in place, and I need to get that out so I can work on the switch. And that, I don't think that's going to be very easy to get off. I posted the question on the Antique Radio forum, and they said it's a malleable, softer metal, and once you get them off, you can hammer them back down to their original form and reinstall them. And I figure if that doesn't work or it breaks, I can stack some E-clips in there, but I'm going to try and get it apart. I'll have to do that off camera, so wish me luck. Alright, as you can see, one of the fingers here is broken off, and It's nowhere to be found, which is not good. I don't know. That must have happened a long time ago. I don't believe it's in the radio. I might take a look in the cabinet, see if I can find it, but I don't know if I can make a piece and solder it on there. There's one here that's kind of bent a little bit too, so I'm going to go see if I can find that piece and we'll see what we can do. I couldn't find the little finger in the cabinet to solder back onto this deal, but an unrelated thing, I was looking for something and I found some switches that I didn't know I had. And this replacement switch will work for this one, which it's good because hopefully you can see that phenolic wafer is warped, and that's part of the problem. The thing spun around past its stops and broke the little finger off, so this is a much better switch, and it's a Centralab PA 1003, and it's pretty neat. It's got 5 positions, 2 through 5, shall I say. You break these little fingers off in there, and when it's brand new, it's set at 2, and we just have 2 positions, so that will work nicely. So while that switch was out, I took the candome resistor out. And man, I'll tell you, I said earlier, 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, man, it's a tight fit. So I'm going to try and mount our resistor deal back in behind there. I'm going to have to drill a couple new holes. So there's really no way around that. So let me see if I can get it mounted in there and see what we got. I just wanted to show real quick how I'm going to do this. So this resistor deal goes behind I think it's the antenna coil, and this center section is kind of hard to get to, so I soldered a piece of wire with a little eyelet here so we can connect our wires. So now I just have to figure out where to drill the holes to mount this thing. Alright, I got it in. It didn't go too bad. Just got it in a place where it wasn't in the way of anything and drilled a couple holes and screwed it in. So I'll get into, I got to put the switch in. I guess I should replace this pot. It's 500K and I think it's supposed to be a 2 meg. But I'll get into some component replacement, and if anything odd comes up, we'll pop back in. We got a progress update here. So I got the band switch in, and I did replace the volume pot. I had originally said it was supposed to be a 2 meg. I'm not quite sure where I pulled that out of my butt, but it is indeed a 500K. But the one that was in there has this loudness tap on it. So I figured I'd replace it, and this other one we can maybe use for some other radio that needs that tap. So I got every other component that need to be replaced except the filter caps. That's hopefully the last step. Interestingly, almost every resistor that was in there was off by about double. So 300K was now 600 to 700K. It was pretty crazy. So I replaced most of the resistors, all the film caps, and now we're going to do the filter caps in this kind of confusing deal. So I labeled everything to make sure I don't screw anything up. And what I'm going to use, or shall I say, a lot of times we'll just tuck these capacitors on the underside of the chassis, but since it's so cluttered and space is so valuable, I bought a chrome drain tube that I'm about cut in half, and I got a little chrome cap for it, and we're gonna stuff our filter caps in there, and then we can get rid of this mess here. So hopefully, like I said, that's the last thing we'll need to do, and then we'll fire it up again and see how she works. I just wanted to show that I scotch taped the capacitors together, put different colored wires on the terminals so I can figure out where everything goes. So we'll put these in the can with a little silicone or something, and we will install it. I got the capacitors mounted in the tube, and I just put some silicone in there. I just used something just to hold this in place. It was a little tricky getting those centered in there, but not too bad. And so we'll mount this and solder our connections, and we'll see how it looks. Alrighty, all the leads are soldered, nice and neat. Looks a lot better. Boy, I tell you what, there was a soldering mess in there. Just these big globs of solder and wire, and holy cow. Whoever soldered that, I'd say was not that proficient. And I guess they say, if you can't solder good, solder a lot. So we will get a new power cord on it and fire it up, and hopefully I haven't screwed up any of the connections. It's all put back together, and fortunately no wiring issues. I didn't booger anything up. It works. We'll go through the stations. Hopefully the mic's picking this up. It's 670 the score. Oop. The tuning cap is really that's WGN.
Officers say that the suspects exchanged fire.
There it's coming in.
No one was wounded. All three suspects.
Some music station. That's WLS.
Air Force Thunderbirds, but for the first time, there will be the pink.
And my local
Who is honoring the
1420. So the reception it's okay. It's not great. I'm sure it could use an alignment, but the issue is the damn trimmers are all rusted up. So we'll have to get in there and see if we can either replace those screws or maybe the trimmer. I don't know. But this video is getting kind of long, so we'll pretty much end it right here, as we got the radio in working condition, which is good. But anyway, we did quite a bit. the radio's cleaned up pretty nice, and we just need to get that cabinet done. So I guess we'll call this part 1. We'll end it here, and hope it was enjoyable and maybe learn something. And thanks for watching.